All of the things I do.
I like the view.
You do?
Yes.
You're my best view.
Me.
Guys, welcome to another episode. Today I got a beautiful special guest. This is my wife Alicia, and today's topic is talking about date nights. And for us, I wanted to actually let you talk about an issue that we had regarding date nights for a while.
Yeah, so getting married, we were in our early 20s, 23, 24 years old, and we were both working full-time jobs. I was in corporate America, and he was teaching full-time at Cambridge Christian School in Tampa, and our times together were literally spent driving from, because we would try to do the one car thing, and we would literally drive, our times together would be mostly in the car, where we would leave from the house to work, and then from work back home, and then by the time we would get home, 9 times out of 10, it's 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, we were leaving at 6 something in the morning, coming back at
Yeah.
like almost, super late.
So the first 2 years of our marriage was just work, and more work, and ministry and everything else. And then we had Josue
Boom.
2 years
Kids.
into our marriage, and of course budget changes, and finding that time to have date nights even more was out the window. So even the little things we did used to do with our late night, like, hey, let's go to Applebee's at 1 a.m.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
That we did that a few times.
Yeah, the 2 times we did it, that was
and,
pretty cool.
and we didn't have kids sleeping, so we could totally do that. We could totally just bounce out of our house. But when Josue came, everything changed. Babysitters, paying for babysitters, not having the money to do a typical date night like dinner and a movie. So.
And then came
baby number 2, and then shortly after that, baby number 3. So yeah, it was, budget and babies and work.
Yeah. No, and then we kind of fell into, we made those excuses, right? And we were like, since we can't go on
Typical
date night,
yeah.
so then we kind of felt depressed, right? We kind of felt, here's a couple, 2 broke jokes over here staying at home. And so we just would do what? We just like, I want to say we just watch TV and
literally.
It was just...
And on our phones, like we'd be next to each other watching TV, but
Sad time.
Just scrolling.
Yeah, sad time. We were just bored, exhausted, depressed. There was so many things.
Yeah.
But there's a verse that actually hits me that I wanted to share with you, that it was actually a principle that we discovered that we wanted to share with you guys, and it changed the way we approached date night and the times that we spend together. And so the verse comes in Jeremiah chapter 2, which I want to encourage you to check it out and read it. But in it, God actually is talking to the nation of Israel, and it's a really kind of sad section where through the prophet Jeremiah, he is saying, hey, I remember what you used to do. See, this is God, the husband, speaking to the nation of Israel as the wife and saying, man, when we were youth and when you were younger, you would pursue me, as a nation. When the nation was young, you guys would chase after me and I would chase after you. And the relationship was different, but you have abandoned that. And it was a really sad thing how they kind of fell away, very, very much like us. Like we kind of stopped doing what we were doing at first, Yeah. And that was, and then you kind of fell into this rut, and the people of Israel fell into this spiritual rut. And God was just telling them to, hey, just to kind of come back and to kind of rephrase and realize things. And so for us, I know that was kind of what we did. We were like, all right, what did we do at first, right? What did we do at first, and how can we pull it off for free? That was pretty much the idea.
Yeah.
And so our idea, what we came up with was really easy. We just went from being bums on the bed to sitting outside in the backyard, right?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that like our favorite spot right now?
That is. It took a few years, but we would little by little start setting up our backyard the way we wanted it. We put a fence, and then we bought rocking chairs, and then we bought a little patio set. Little by little, we created our little spot that we now call, it's literally our favorite spot in the house.
Yep.
It's our favorite spot to bring our friends to, and whenever we have people here, we love just to be back there. If you've been to our backyard, you know why. It's actually a very, what they call, it's a vibe. It's a cool place to be.
And again, we don't got much out there. It's just the fact that we got trees and no one that lives. We got a swamp in the back.
Yeah.
It's really the vibe, because we ain't got nothing fancy but like a couple chairs and a rusting little fire pit, and that's it. So
some solar lights back there. That's brand new.
Exactly.
But
for free. No, we didn't.
Exactly.
So anyway.
But yeah, so we went from doing just sitting on the couch or in the bed to going in the backyard and having conversations with each other. Nothing serious, just reminiscing about the past.
Exactly, and that was so cool because we began to realize something very valuable that we had, which I'm going to kind of flip to right now, which is something that the people of Israel needed to do that I believe is something that's important for us, our relationship with God, but also our relationship together, our romantic relationships, and it comes with communication. And so I'm going to say a phrase, and I want you to tell me your opinion, okay? When you hear the term and the phrase, talk is cheap, what do you think?
Oh, it sounds like I've always associated that with something negative. Like, I can't think of the words exactly to explain like how it makes me think, but I just remember always saying like, "Oh, talk is cheap." Like, you know, like.
Remember, you like to say the phrase like, you know,
actions speak louder than words. That's my thing. Like, you know, you can tell me something all day long. Oh, I love you. Oh, I care about you. Oh, I want. But if you're not putting action behind it, then yeah, like for me, it's your words mean nothing if you're not showing me.
So if you would hear the phrase "talk is cheap," you hear that in a negative context.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I want to encourage you to flip it into a positive, because talk is cheap. It's cheap to do. It's free. And that's what we started to realize. That if we can just sit out in our backyard, sit in a different place, and literally just talk. I mean, we would talk about what? Talk about the future, right? Our hopes, our fears.
We would dream about stuff that we wanted to do when the
Just for
kids
fun.
moved out, and you know,
who knows if it's gonna happen?
like just you know, fun stuff.
Yeah,
nothing serious.
You know, we talk about the future, but both positive and the negatives. Like, you know, things may be concerning, or things we talk about the past, right? We would reminisce on old things, right? Old like different stuff that we experienced, remembering things. We would reminisce about the week, right? Because that was huge. Like sometimes, you know, we go grinding week to, you know, day to day to day, that you don't pause enough to reflect and think, hey, what just happened even this week? That was pretty cool. What was your favorite memory from this week? But we've had some crazy talks. I mean, we'll talk about what excites us, right? We'll talk about, I mean, just what bothers us, like with people, with each other, you know, like, you know, we'll just be honest like that. And so we realized that the more we communicated, the more we talked, we actually grew closer together. And this was, you know, and maybe for some of y'all, I want to encourage you, because maybe if y'all try to do this talking thing, it might turn into a fight. And so be careful. No. So you got to work your way up into some of these.
You have to set boundaries. Like there were some nights that I'm like, look, we're not talking about anything ministry related. Let's just dream tonight.
Yeah.
Like you have to kind of set some boundaries sometimes.
Exactly. And so I want to encourage you guys to know that, hey, listen, talk is cheap. Yes, the actions do speak louder than the words, but at the same time, when it comes to date nights, talk is cheap. So if you can afford to go on a dinner, you can afford to go out, awesome. Yeah. Hey, but the key is communication. But if you can't afford anything, hey, just spend some time talking. You know, go back and do the things that you used to do. Talk in the ways and reflect on what made you fall in love with that person the first time. And doing those little things like that, and even reminiscing, that kind of stokes the flames when you say, man, I remember that, and I remember this, and that's pretty cool. So I just want to encourage you guys that especially take the time, no matter the budget, no matter how busy, take time to communicate, especially in your marriage. And most importantly, making sure you're not just talking to each other, but that together, you're also talking to God. You're communicating as well, and you're keeping that channel of communication open. So listen, if this video was helpful, make sure you hit the like button and give us a thumbs up, all right? Make sure you share the video, subscribe if you haven't done that yet. But before we leave, I just want to remind you again, no matter how busy, no matter the budget, listen, talk is cheap. And it's valuable. Communication is key, not only with your relationship with each other, but your relationship with God. And if you want your relationship to get better,
you have to grow together.
Grow together, all right? See you guys later. Grow your relationship, and you want your relationship to be better?
Grow together.
Thank you. All right, so we got to work on the communication there, but it's all right.
I forgot. I was just listening to what you were saying.
All right, so let's fix that. All right, let's fix that. I'm okay. All right, ready? So.